What's up, guys? Disclosure Artist here, and today I'm going to talk to you about some of the supernatural things that I have heard from my passengers. I'm going to start with this one lady I picked up deep in the woods, in the mountains, and we got into a conversation about out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, OBEs, NDEs. And she mentioned to me that just in the past few months, she had been in a horrific car accident, and it almost claimed her life. And she found herself in the hospital in a coma for a certain period of time while she was healing. And during that time, she told me that she left her body and actually stood in the hospital watching her body in the hospital bed as a dark entity, or shadow being, if you will, attempted to possess her body. She could actually see a foreign consciousness trying to enter what was her then empty vessel. And it was then that she went back into her own body and woke up from her coma and stopped this from happening. So I thought that was pretty incredible, because we've heard people say things like that before. I'd never met anyone that had happened to, let alone happened to recently. So again, nobody meets anybody for no reason. So that was a really interesting conversation. Another passenger I picked up in the city, and she told me about an incident. We got into the conversation talking about parallel realities, portals opening, other dimensions, and she mentioned to me that she had something strange happen to her in her apartment. And she has a cat. We're both cat owners, and she mentioned that on one occasion, because there is nowhere for this animal to go, it's on the second floor, and everything's locked, and the layout of the building is such that even downstairs there's a locked door. There's nowhere for the animal to go. But on one occasion, she came home, and the cat was just gone. It was completely vanished. There was not a single trace of the animal where she had left it. And hours went by. She searched for it. It made no sense. There's absolutely no way it could have escaped. Nothing was open. And miraculously, the animal just reappeared back in the apartment, and it wasn't sleeping. It wasn't. I remember her going down this checklist of things that she checked to make sure that it wasn't, just hiding. Cats like to hide, especially when they're resting and they're very tired. They don't like to be bothered. But no, because we are both cat owners, and she basically laid out exactly how extensively she looked for the animal. It makes no sense. The thing literally was taken and then returned. And these things do happen, not just to people, they happen to animals as well. So that was cool. One of the passengers that I recently had, I made a video specifically about him and his cousin and his experiences in Chicago with regards to UFOs, the paranormal, etc. And this is the same passenger who also included this story when we shared our time together. And he mentioned to me that after a long bus ride that he took on some road trip that he did, he ended up getting off in an unknown area in the middle of nowhere at a very late hour. And there was this female that he observed that he, for better or worse, described to me as a vampire, or that's what he thought best described what he saw. He said that she had perfectly black skin, but like her face looked like a porcelain china doll. Like she looked like a perfect doll, and she was wearing, oddly enough, Victorian era clothing on, again, this modern day. And this wasn't, any reason for her to be dressed as if she's in another time period. And after disembarking the vessel, he had a time or a moment where he could engage her, and she was speaking and using terminology that was from another era. And I remember him telling me that he was reaching out to, I guess, further the conversation, and when he turned around, she had just completely vanished into thin air, which is not a normal thing to do, especially if you're enjoying a bus ride to somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But people have seen these things, people walking around barefoot in a nightgown in the middle of nowhere when it's freezing cold, and then they just vanish. So this was one of these occasions. So interesting little collection of stories, none necessarily pertaining to one field or the other, but all definitely fall under the umbrella of supernatural. All right, that's all for now, guys. See you soon.